On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel's changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. With FanDuel's Super Sub, if your player's subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So you're still in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DCKYWY. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050. Massachusetts. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 877-770-7867. Louisiana.
Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome, everybody, on this big night. Knicks and Spurs going at it as we speak at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, the Mecca. And, got a long way to go, but Knicks win tonight. I will predict confidently on this air. And Donald Trump, obviously, the president, is at the game. Some folks have a problem with this. Stephen A. Smith, who was dating cheerleaders when Trump was going to games on a regular basis at Madison Square Garden, really has a big problem with Trump being there tonight. This is going to ruin the Knicks' karma. This is going to be, if they lose, literally Stephen A. says he will blame Trump. Oh, okay. The Knicks have won 13 straight playoff games. This is a run as historic as we've seen. I think Golden State, maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, had a run like this. But this is very rare where teams run off win streaks like this against other playoff teams on the road, at home, doesn't matter. The Knicks have been incredible and lucky. Obviously, game 2, Wemby. 20-foot wide-open shot. That guy drains those, I'll say 90 out of 100 times, and clank off the back of the rim. Knicks win 105-104 on the road in San Antonio, now up 2-0 in the series. And when a team goes up 2-0 in a series, when they win the first 2 games on the road, it is almost impossible, or at least the precedent says, for another team to come back under those circumstances, because now you got to win 4 out of 5 if you're the Spurs, a very young Spurs team. Let's see how mentally tough they are. I'm pretty certain the Knicks are mentally tough. So I'm pretty sure they could handle Donald Trump being up in the rafters somewhere in some box where they can't even see him, right? He may be introduced once for a second, maybe not. Maybe Jim Dolan just decides, okay, let's not distract the team. Trump can watch the game, and that's that. And even if he is introduced at the beginning of the game, who cares? Who cares? Think Jalen Brunson suddenly won't be able to shoot a 3 because President Trump's in the building? And the Knicks were tried, all the players, every reporter tried to rope them into saying something. Please go down the Abdul Carter route. Please say something bad about Trump. Please give us a controversy. And none of them did. So either PR did an excellent job in prepping them, or maybe they're fans of the president because they make a lot of money and they like to keep their money instead of being taxed. Maybe they don't have an opinion. Who cares? All right, Trump being there will have no effect on this game. But Stephen A. Smith, who thinks he is literally the team mascot, thinks he is the greatest Knick fan of all time because he yells about them a lot on the air. I don't doubt that he's a great Knick fan, but don't tell anybody else they can't come to the game, especially the president of the United States. Anyway, here's cut number 1. Stephen A., go.
This is strictly a basketball segment.
Oh, good Lord.
This president has no business showing up in New York City. I am dead serious. It is selfish. It is narcissistic.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous that he is coming to this game. I would say the same thing if it were Obama, George W., Clinton. I don't give a damn. We went back to Reagan.
If you think if Barack Obama came to a Knicks NBA Finals game or any Finals game, he went to go see the Chicago Bulls, right, which he didn't. Then again, he was a community organizer at that point. Probably couldn't afford it. But I don't want to hear this. Stephen A. grew up in Queens, born in the Bronx. Donald Trump grew up in Queens, lived in New York his entire life. Has been going to Knicks games in the 80s when they weren't that good. Very young Patrick Ewing. Then they gelled nicely in the 90s. Unfortunately, they ran into this guy named Michael Jordan, where in the playoffs couldn't quite get by him, but still they got to the finals 94 and 99 when Jordan wasn't around. Lost both of those series, unfortunately. But Trump was there in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, up until he ran for president. So don't tell me he can't go to a game. And that somehow, if they lose, Stephen A. says in another clip, he will blame Trump. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great basketball analysis there, buddy. What, Knicks suddenly can't run a pick and roll, play defense, getting one beyond his head because Trump's there? You really think they're that weak mentally? I like Stephen A. in terms of the common sense stuff he says sometimes, but sometimes this is his emotions getting to him, honestly. And he's getting killed for it online, and good for online, whatever that means. Anyway, meanwhile, Mayor Mamdani will be there also. Stephen A. has no problem with that, of course. And he says he got his tickets for a much, 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 much lower price than your average person. How did that happen? Cut number 2, go.
Standing room only ticket. I'm just not familiar. Did you get like a discount from the Garden through that, or was that just something you bought online on like Ticketmaster?
So that's something that I purchased directly from the Madison Square Garden. Close to $1,000 was the price of it, and standing room only is just the section that I'll be standing in.
I'm confused on this one. I'm honest. I'm pleading ignorance on this. I don't know everything. Not even close. Believe me, my producers will tell you. But here's the thing. If you're the mayor of New York, you don't get a freebie for this. You don't get, like, I don't know, you're the mayor of the city. And I know almost probably 99% of this audience does not like Mamdani. Overall, his favorables and unfavorables are going in very much the wrong direction if you're Zohran Mamdani, for good reason. But I don't know. Doesn't the mayor kind of get I would think, a courtesy ticket on this one? Like Giuliani when he went to all those World Series games when the Yankees were in it? Or Bloomberg, for that matter? You're telling me they paid for the tickets? Why do I have a hard time believing this? I believe that Mamdani paid $1,000 for the ticket. I don't know how that happened, because the cheapest ticket I could find this afternoon, whether we're talking about StubHub or anywhere else, is about $7,500 for the cheapest ticket. So I just find it kind of ironic, though, that Mamdani talks about how people can't afford to put food on their table. Now he spent $1,000 to go to a Knicks game. I personally, if you offered me the ticket, I would go. But me not going, because I'm not a fan, right? I'm not going to pretend I'm a fan now. So, I'm on a New York radio station. I better pretend I'm rooting for the Knicks. No, I don't go that way. Okay. I actually don't have a team. It's really weird. Like, I had a team. They were called the New Jersey Nets. I am from Jersey. And my friend Dave used to work for the team, and I would get free tickets for every game. He got something like 2 free tickets for every game, sometimes 4. So I would take whoever my girlfriend was at the time. Girlfriend eventually became my wife. It was great. We'd sit half the time courtside, not like on the court, but maybe 2 or 3 rows off. And I saw great teams. Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson, Vince Carter, all these very, very good players. They got to the finals twice. And then they moved to Brooklyn. And then they changed their uniforms. They had these beautiful, like, red, white, and blue stars. If you ever see Dr. J back in the day when he was a New York Net when they played on Long Island. But beautiful colors. Now they played like in this black and white uniform, and it's Brooklyn, and I've been to Brooklyn once in my life. Peter Luger's. I went like 5 minutes into Brooklyn. That's basically Luger's, and that's it. So I'm like, I can't. No, I'm not going to follow them. I don't know why. Just didn't. Thank God. They're horrible now, so I probably wouldn't be liking them anyway. But I don't know. I just think that in the end, I would think that Donnie would get the tickets for free, but I guess not. So $1,000, can't get food on the table, but the mayor's going to plop down $1,000 to see the Knicks play tonight. And I'm sure afterwards, with all the microphones are there, if and when they win, again, Mamdani will be smiling ear to ear. And I like the fact, I'm going to praise the guy for a second, all right? When he was asked about Trump going, he wasn't like Kathy Hochul, who was a moron, who said, well, if Trump wants to go, I challenged him to name the starting 5 of the 1993 Knicks championship team. No championship in 93. Didn't even get to the finals in 93. They lost in 6 to the Bulls. Remember that? That was Smith. Charles Smith couldn't make one of like 4 layups at the buzzer in Game 5. Got blocked by Jordan. Like, blocked. I mean, talking about bad karma. So anyway, so she could have just taken the layup, so to speak, there and said, oh, well, we welcome all Knicks fans, whether the Republicans or Democrats, to root on the Knicks, and we hope they win a championship. Nope, had to take a shot at Trump and got it completely wrong. At least Mamdani said, we welcome all Knicks fans, whether it's the president, whether it's whoever. Right? Good. He is smart in that regard. I will give him that. Politically savvy. Anyway, let's get to the fun stuff, shall we? So out in California, Nithya Raman now is projected to take second place in the LA mayor's race. And last week, when Pratt was up 9 points at the end of election night, I said there are way too many votes, way too many percentage points for mail-in ballots to help the third place finisher, who ran a very unmemorable campaign, got smoked in that debate against Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass. Spencer also smoked Karen Bass. And I figured that the mail-in ballots, while some may go to Rahman, right, not enough to overtake Pratt, and the majority would go to Bass because she's the front runner, right? She finished first and Pratt finished second after election night. Well, miraculously, the third place finisher is getting the majority of the mail-in votes. Isn't that incredible? Easily doubling Pratt and even beating Bass. So not a lot of people came out for her on election day, but now suddenly she's the front runner in mail-in ballots because she's the one that needs them the most. And even she thought that she wasn't going to win after election night. Here's a little flashback to last Tuesday. Cut number 11, go. She's crying, by the way, just so you know. Big
Los
tears.
Angeles is the most magical city in the entire world.
Whee!
Win or lose. I am so proud to be an Angelino, and I'm so grateful to call this extraordinary city my home.
Oh, boy. That is somebody who sounds like, I just lost. I got no shot. She's literally crying. But she forgot that there are mechanisms in place to make sure that no Republican's ever going to get to the general election. And that was literally said by Governor Gavin Newsom just a couple of weeks ago. And this is, where is my Newsom cut? Oh, cut number 7, go.
I've said this before, so I'll repeat it. I don't anticipate this need to be the case, but there is a break the glass scenario. And there's many people that have a deep understanding of what it would look like if Democrats were locked out. And we're going to do everything to make sure that doesn't happen.
All right. So break the glass scenario. We're going to make sure that Democrats don't get locked out. How is that soundbite not the biggest story of the month, if not the year? What the hell was that? You have mechanisms in place? What kind of mechanisms, I wonder? Because again, we won't know the final tally in the LA mayor's race and in the California governor's race until after July 4th. Hot dogs, fireworks. You still don't know the final results of an election that was held in early June. I watch presidential elections, and at 10 o'clock at night in Florida, where they have many millions more votes to count, I know by 10 o'clock who won. I get the final tally probably by early the next day. Same with Texas, same with Ohio. In India, they have 640 friggin' votes to count, and you know by breakfast who won and what the final results were, maybe a day or two later. Why does California take 5 friggin' weeks? I think I know why. I'm pretty sure I can probably tell you know why. I don't even have to say why. This is a rhetorical answer at this point. Fill in the blank. The third place finisher in LA needs the votes. First place finisher doesn't, Karen Bass. Second place finisher, Spencer Pratt. Yeah, but he's a Republican, and Republicans don't get as many mail-in votes. So suddenly, Nithya Raman goes on this Tom Brady versus the Falcons in the Super Bowl, down 28-3 kind of run, and now we'll be in the general. The Republicans are locked out. The mechanisms worked. Oh, man. One more before we go to break, shall we? And this is just so telling here at this point. Kamala Harris, back in 2010, ran for Attorney General. As we know, Kamala is a human Chernobyl outside of a teleprompter and is a horrible candidate. Yet, she was down big time to a Republican that was running for that particular office. But through mail-in ballots, Kamala was able to complete the comeback victory. And here's what that sounded like 16 years ago today. Cut number 5, go.
4 weeks after the November 2nd election, California finally has declared a winner in the Attorney General race. Harris finished so close to her Republican opponent that it took a month to finish counting every vote. She won by less than 1 percentage point.
It took a month for the Attorney General's race, really? How many votes is that? A couple 100,000? How does that take a month? Is one person counting? No. Oh, and the Democrat defeated the Republican. Again, this has been going on for some time, and it will continue to go on for some time. And if I'm a Republican running in California, I'm thinking, why the hell would I go through this whole effort? Spencer Pratt worked his ass off and ran a phenomenal campaign, and he's still shut out by Nithya Raman, who no one can barely pronounce this person's name, let alone she got all these votes in the end. And Steve Hilton, I can guarantee you he's in second place right now in the gubernatorial race. Tom Steyer, 5 points back. Suddenly, that's not insurmountable. And despite the fact that Javier Becerra won that race, albeit after Election Day through mail-in ballots, why do I think that Steyer is suddenly going to go on this big, big run? The third place guy, just like Rahman. We'll see. Anyway, this is a very pissed off Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Born on America's darkest day of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has helped America's heroes ever since. Heroes like United States Army Sergeant William Bernard McKenna, who enlisted after 9/11 and served 2 tours in Iraq. Exposed to burn pits, McKenna later died from T-cell lymphoma, leaving his wife Dina and daughters Caitlin and Sabrina. Tunnel to Towers honored Sergeant McKenna by paying off the family's mortgage in honor of his sacrifices. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org today.
June is Men's Health Month. Red Apple Audio Networks is proud to recognize Men's Health Month. A reminder that taking care of your health is one of the strongest things you can do.
This is Joe Concha. Physical activity is one of the best things you can do for your overall health. Exercise supports heart health, improves mood, strengthens muscles and bones, and helps reduce stress. The good news is you don't need a gym membership or intense workouts to benefit. Walking, stretching, biking, swimming, or even some yard work can make a positive difference. Experts recommend about 30 minutes of movement most days of the week, but every step counts. If you spend most of your time sitting, try standing up and move around every hour. Small changes create lasting habits. Taking care of your body through movement helps boost energy, improve sleep, and support long-term health at every age.
Join Red Apple Audio Networks in supporting healthier lives from men everywhere. Learn more about Men's Health Month and take charge of your health today. Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
One Tough Podcast with Bo Dietl.
Now, part of Mondami's agenda, this green agenda, he don't know what the hell he's talking about. The problem with the people are the services. Broken windows, lead paint where kids are eating and being poisoned, poor ventilation, and poor security. These are the things you should be dealing with, Mondami.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC. and CBS and CNN.
But, Mr. President,
your one-sided crooked network. So let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr. President,
a country can never be great with a dishonest press.
We traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
Wow, you flew all the way to Wisconsin, Kristen Welker. Let's see. I flew to Milwaukee 2 years ago for the Republican National Convention. New York to Milwaukee, that's about a, 2-hour flight. All the way? It's not like you went to Vietnam to interview him. Oh, and by the way, he's exactly right. This whole thing about these elections in California, which we will talk about in the next segment, if anybody wants to defend this and talk about evidence of fraud, well, then you obviously are drinking the Kool-Aid, and that Kool-Aid is rancid. Good for Trump to get out of that interview when he did. By the way, he gave Kristen Welker an hour. You know how many minutes Joe Biden ever gave Kristen Welker to Meet the Press? 0. This is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
June is Black Music Month. We don't just celebrate music, we feel it.
They called her the Empress of the Blues, and for good reason.
Nobody knows.
Bessie Smith possessed one of the most commanding voices ever recorded.
When it rains 5 days and the skies turn dark as night.
Powerful, emotional, and utterly fearless. Rising during the 1920s, she brought the pain, passion, humor, and hardships of Black America directly into the nation's consciousness. Her recordings sold in enormous numbers during an era when opportunities for Black women were painfully limited. Yet her influence reached far beyond blues music, shaping jazz, soul, and rock.
I need a little hot dog on my road.
Bessie Smith's voice still sounds timeless, bold, bruised, and unforgettable.
Baby, won't you please?
Celebrating Black Music Month. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So, you want to talk about a sweet spot of a topic. This Scott Pelley firing, as I've talked about on this show, talked about on Fox a lot, it keeps getting better because now Scott Pelley is on a martyr tour, martyring himself. And this guy is Keith Olbermann crazy and narcissistic at this point. I didn't know it was this bad, but he does this interview with the New York Times. They're like a video podcast kind of thing. Tucker Carlson was on it a couple weeks ago. And Pelley honestly said this. And I thought I had to check. I didn't make sure it wasn't AI, like some sort of video generated thing on my X feed. This is real. This is Scott Pelley talking about how he has gone to war for this country. I'm thinking, was he in Vietnam? Was he in the Iraq War? Afghanistan? Did I miss something? I didn't know he was a veteran. Oh, I had kind of a different perspective on the guy a little bit. We honor all of our veterans, regardless of political ideology. Oh, no, he didn't mean that. He meant this. Cut number 23. Go.
Worn the uniform, but I've been in combat for this country.
You've been in what?
In Afghanistan and Iraq.
Uh-huh.
Kuwait.
Great.
Been shot at.
Shot at?
Spent nights in foxholes, filling up with water in the desert.
No shot. Who is this? Who is that guy again who was on NBC News? It's so long ago. Williams? Brian Williams. I feel like I'm listening to Brian Williams all over again with a much lower voice. I've fought for this country. I've been in combat in Afghanistan, Iraq. I've been in foxholes with water filling up. Oh, really? I'd love to see that report sometime. Can anybody find any video of this? No, I'm sorry. I don't remember this because I'm pretty sure this guy would have been celebrated for making that much of an effort. By the way, the Iraq War? I don't know. How long that thing last again? Like the major military actions part, not the part where we were sitting ducks for IEDs and we stayed far, far, far too long trying to do this whole regime change thing. I'm talking about the military aspect of it. I think it was a couple days, right? I just watched Jarhead a couple days ago with Jake Gyllenhaal, and I think it was, I'm going to have to look it up, and I'm going to stall while I'm talking. Not long. So you're telling me that he was in foxholes there or Afghanistan fighting against the Taliban? Because again, the military actions part of that war didn't last all that long as well. So I don't know. Not really remembering this. Just like Brian Williams got shot at in Iraq when he was in a helicopter. Turned out that wasn't true. Right? Turned out that, what else did Brian Williams say? Oh, yeah, he said he was in the French Quarter and saw bodies floating down Bourbon Street, which never happened. So I don't know if we're getting to either a Brian Williams moment or a Keith Opperman moment, but either way, this guy is crazy. And he was a correspondent for CBS News in 60 Minutes. He was the evening anchor on CBS News. You know where Cronkite used to sit? And you're making claims like that? And by the way, the most insulting part of this, I guess I buried the lead, you didn't fight for this country. You're getting paid millions of dollars to cover some wars that were very, very short in terms of military action. You were shot at? When did this happen? Oh, man. This is just insane stuff. I'm trying to find some time long enough so I can look this up. Anyway, the point is, here is Scott Pelley also saying that, well, in all the time that I was at CBS, I never saw any bias. This is cut number 24. Go.
She, I am told, said something to the effect of, why do you think the country thinks you're biased? But she didn't offer any kind of a metric. You know, what's your metric? Why do you think so? Do you have a poll? Is there market research? What are you talking about? Because we certainly didn't believe that.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got research. I do this stuff sometimes. I look up stuff. Media Research Center. Let's see. Donald Trump's first 100 days in office in his first term. CBS News. There it is right there. 89% negative coverage during what's supposed to be the honeymoon period of Trump's first administration. During the second administration, that number jumps to 92% negative coverage. Yeah, I'm thinking that's bias. When more than 9 out of 10 stories on President Trump, again, when he first takes office in 2 terms, after he's duly elected by a majority of people in the United States in the second term. Anyway, first term blew out in the Electoral College, as he did during the second campaign. Pretty sure there is bias at CBS. I just love this. Meanwhile, by the way, major combat operations in the Iraq War, the first one lasted 43 days. Not too many casualties. Not that everyone doesn't count, but I'm sorry. I'm not buying this whole thing like Pelley was in the jungles of Vietnam. That's far different than what he was describing in that. And every military member should be offended by the fact that he said he went to war for this country. When, no, you're a glorified correspondent, paid millions upon millions of dollars. And the funny thing is that Pelley then posted a picture of himself the day after he was fired. Of course, sailing, just like John Kerry. Elitism in one photo. No question about that. All right. Do we have anything else on Pelley? I'm pretty sure that we do, because I cannot let this go. It's too good. I can't find anything else. All right. We're going to move on, I guess. Meanwhile, let's talk about Graham Plattner, the best ever candidate in the history of the Democratic Party, according to Ro Khanna, who rallied with him, which I find just utterly remarkable that Ro is really going to die on this hill, the whole, hill that says, I support a guy who literally locked a woman in a bedroom, threw her in there, and didn't let her out till the next day, would put his hands so firmly on his ex-girlfriend's shoulders, he left marks, pulled their arms out of cabs behind their back that could break their arms, right? Was on a predatory site called Kick, predatory for children. And again, we forget about the policies. Like, we go through the personal stuff, and sometimes people are willing to say, that's his personal life. He came out of war. He had PTSD. He said and did some things that he regrets now, and he says that he regrets, and we forgive him because he's right on policy. Oh, you support abolishing ICE. Okay. You support abolishing DHS. You support no funding for border security. You support Medicare for all, government-run health care for everyone, because we saw with Obamacare how well that works. And then, oh, by the way, also, you want to seize property from billionaires? Okay. You want to start impeaching Supreme Court justices? You think shutdowns are good? You think all Republicans are fascists? All right. You want to go down that road? If you support that and you're in Maine, I'm sorry. He is not winning this race. Can I make that very clear? Right now, on June 8th of 2026, he's not winning, because he is defined, as I've said, and he's going to be playing defense now for the next 5 months. And it was going to be a very questionable whether he wins anyway. Again, I don't think Susan Collins is any great candidate. Certainly not a great senator. But the alternative, as we're seeing, is infinitely, infinitely worse. You know what to do here, Kevin, after this bite. This is cut number 9. Hakeem Jeffries, who is the leader of the House on the Democratic side, the minority leader, he was with my friend Jackie Heinrich on Fox and saying what every other Democrat says here, which is the most laughable excuse I've ever heard, which is, oh, this Graham Plattner thing, I really haven't been following it. Oh, no, it's only been dominating the news cycle for 2 weeks. You haven't been following it. Oh, when you think of garbage. All right, here's cut number 9. Go.
That sounds like domestic abuse to me, textbook domestic abuse. What happened to believe all women?
I haven't followed these allegations closely, but what I have said is that violence against women in any way, shape, or form is unacceptable. It's a red line, and nobody should cross that.
So condemn Plattner.
Accuser who comes forward has to be treated with dignity and respect. I haven't talked to Ro Khanna about this particular race, and in fact, I haven't gotten involved.
When you think of garbage, think of Hakeem.
It's so appropriate. Kevin, one more time. I love it so much.
When you think of garbage, think of Hakeem.
You haven't been following it closely. Then he says that women who are abused, domestic abused, they absolutely should believe, and we should take them seriously and treat them with dignity and respect. Okay, then say that you do not endorse Graham Plattner. Won't do it. There are words and there are actions. And Hakeem Jeffries, the latter, I mean, talk about just a guy who is as spineless as a jellyfish. Man, oh man. And he could be the next House Speaker if that were to happen. Meanwhile, this is my favorite clip of the month. We're only at June 8th. Nothing will beat this. Nothing. Ever. Ever. Okay? Here is a Maine voter. All right? Older female gal. And she is making the argument that the Nazi tattoo that Plattner got, concentration camp guards, mind you, is not a big deal. Then she is asked, what if Plattner had tattoo of Israel on his person? Would that be a deal breaker? And here's the answer. Oh, I love this. Cut 6, go.
I think people are making as much of it as they can because they don't have a lot of substance around anything else. And if they did, we'd hear about it. Believe me. They are trolling for dirt.
What if he has like a Israeli flag tattoo or something? Would that be a deal breaker?
For me?
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
That would be
Israeli? Yeah, because I don't support genocide and he doesn't either.
Yes, we have reached peak stupidity. So if I'm understanding this correctly, if you have a Nazi tattoo, that is forgivable. But if you have an Israeli tattoo, that is not. That's a deal breaker for that Maine voter who will vote for Graham Plattner because they commit genocide. World War II, anyone? Holocaust? Nazis? All those Jews that were exterminated in concentration camps? That's a genocide. But you don't mind the Nazi tattoo. But if you have an Israel tattoo because they committed the crime of defending themselves after October 7th, then that's your deal breaker because they commit genocide? Oh, wow. Look, again, I think we got to really expand our deportation laws and get this person out of the country immediately. I don't care if she's like 6 generations of Americans being born here. Out or to an insane asylum or back to school. No, actually, all right, you know what? I'm going to go easy on this one. Back to school and learn history. Okay? Just like Billy Madison. You got to complete kindergarten through senior year. No exceptions. Oh, that person gets the same amount of say it that I do when it comes to voting. Oh, we got to have like levels, like, like Jeopardy. Like, you complete a certain amount of questions, your vote is weighed more in one way or another. And that should be that. Oh. Meanwhile, here's Plattner. Again, I don't understand the appeal of this person. Like, forget all the stuff we talked about, all the bad things. When he says, like, black people don't tip, for example, or women should be more adult to avoid being raped, whatever that means. Okay, here he is at a rally over the weekend. I don't even know what this means at the end, so I'm just going to play it. Maybe, I don't know, some sort of Jedi mind trick. You can tell me what this means exactly. Get into my head. Osmosis. Cut number 8. Go.
If I had my way, elections would last 2 months.
They would?
They would
Why?
be publicly funded, and if a billionaire looked at a TV ad the wrong way, we'd put him in jail.
Cricket. No, I mean, I guess that's supposed to be an applause line. If a billionaire looked at the TV ad wrong way, we put him in jail? Oh, my. I can guarantee you if Tom Steyer somehow gets to the general in California, that billionaire, he'll endorse him. Guaranteed. That billionaire is different, though, because he's on our team. You put him in jail because he looked at the TV ad. I don't even know what it means. This person does not need to be in the Senate, as I've said. He needs a shrink and like some serious medication. And that's appealing to people? I don't even understand what he just said. I'm not sure he understands what he just said. Meanwhile, here is Senator Warner of Virginia. Again, do you support Graham Plattner given all the allegations of domestic abuse against him? Here's Warner's answer in Cut 13. Go.
You've heard the allegations against Graham Plattner. It's hard to imagine that Democrats could win back control of the Senate without Maine. What's your reaction?
Well, first of all, if the allegations are true, they are disturbing. End of the day, though, Maine voters are going to decide this. I've got my own election this year. I'm trying to get rehired in Virginia. So I'm trying to make the case to people in Virginia why they ought to rehire me.
Yeah, we're good, Kev. Yeah. They're serious. If they're true. Okay, well, they are true. There are texts. There are corroboration. There's a whole bunch of people, other women that have come forward. The end. And they won't condemn it in the way where they should, which is not that, oh, this is bad. This is, I cannot support Graham Plattner because if he did this to women, then he is unfit for the Senate. It's really that simple. But they keep holding out. They're waiting for another shoe to drop so then they could say, I don't endorse him. Or they're hoping that he hangs on. He gets to the general and somehow defeats Susan Collins, which I said will not happen. And I have backup on this. Matt Whitlock, who worked for Susan Collins in Maine, explains why. And he's on the ground there. He understands exactly how their voters think. He understands the history and the precedent of Susan Collins in elections where people all say she's vulnerable and she's going to lose. Here's what he thinks is going to happen in Cut number 4. Go.
There is one state where a Republican is running for re-election that Kamala Harris won. And that state is Maine because Susan Collins won. These are ticket splitters. Can Graham Plattner beat Susan Collins in November?
Absolutely not. I worked on this race in Maine in 2020 when Sarah Gideon, the former Speaker of the House, spent hundreds of millions of dollars to lose to Susan Collins by 9 without any of the baggage that Graham Plattner has. When you watch Democrats, all they have is partisanship. It's not going to be enough to beat Maine's own Iron Lady Susan Collins, who just cast her 10,000th consecutive vote.
There you go. Won by 9 points in 2020. Trump was president then as well. Again, I know Kamala won that by 4 points, but Plattner, given the baggage, and Collins won the last election by 9, let's say he even halves that. He's still not winning. So hearing that, I'm in Whitlock's corner here. Graham Plattner's not winning for a myriad of reasons. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.
This is the Worldwide News Network Extra.
The NBA says it's wrapping up its investigation into Los Angeles Clippers star forward Kawhi Leonard. As the NBA Finals were getting underway, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver announced the independent investigation would be completed soon. A report claims that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer tried to get around the NBA's salary cap by having Leonard sign an allegedly fraudulent $28 million endorsement deal with Aspiration Partners Incorporated. Ballmer invested $60 million into that company, but says he did nothing wrong. The report says that Leonard signed the endorsement deal with no obligations to do any work, making it a no-show job. And that was allegedly so he could be paid more money under the table, not counted by the salary cap. I'm James Flippin, and this is the Worldwide News Network.
Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Cop Talk, hosted by Kevin Schroeder.
Richie Sharp, Jonathan Diller was killed in a line of duty. Blood. Disgusting. And he got off on the top charge, the murderer. He got off.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. Meanwhile, you're trying to get this perpetrator in handcuffs. You shouldn't have to worry about anything. The public, instead of standing there, taking a video, should be maybe helping the police officer take a video.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, we don't do the scandalous stuff on here very often in terms of who's sleeping with who in D.C., but Lauren Boebert, who's on the Republican side, she is single. You may remember she was at a movie like last year, 2 years ago, was vaping in the movie, then was getting kind of rambunctious during the movie. May have been some liquid courage involved. Anyway, she got a lot of blowback for that. Well, apparently, there is some rumblings that she may have had an alleged affair with Thomas Massie, the useless idiot who just got defeated in that Kentucky primary because he was a perpetual no vote against President Trump, and Trump had enough, had him primaried, and bye-bye Massie. But here is Lauren Boebert being asked about that affair, and she didn't handle the question very well. Cut number 16, go.
You, first of all. If you're going to bring me into this, this sexist stuff is, out of control. So there's your clickbait that you were looking for. And,
a lot of people...
I don't want to talk about anybody's exes and their crazy that they do.
I don't know. When you get that defensive, that kind of tells me you're hiding something. Probably. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. She could have just said, that's ridiculous. Thomas is a friend of mine. There is no affair. Let's concentrate on important things that the American people elected us to solve, or something along those lines. But when you start responding like that, I don't know, big red flag that you may be guilty in this situation. One more Scott Pelley. Why not? Because I just love doing my imitation, which I think is getting really, really good. We'll have to maybe try that on Fox sometime. Anyway, here is Scott Pelley literally crying about losing his job. Again, as if he was so important, the American people will really be without this national treasure. I don't know anybody who cries on a big interview like this on video about losing their own job, but that's what narcissists do, I suppose. Cut number 12, go.
I am not emotional about this because I have lost this job. I've done it for a long time. I've had the greatest experiences. But the people I leave behind treated in this way.
What way? What way?
That breaks my heart. And it's going to take me a long time to get over it, to be perfectly honest.
If only if I didn't storm into a staff meeting and start degrading my boss in front of all of my colleagues, telling him that he was unqualified for the position, saying that he was murdering 60 Minutes, then maybe all these people that I left behind in that war zone that is CBS News might have a chance to get out like I did.
Oh my God. I mean, what the hell was that? This person, like Plattner, seriously needs a shrink or something. And now I can guarantee you, as sure as you were born, he will be on Jimmy Kimmel this week. I don't know anything. This is not inside knowledge. He's going to be on Kimmel. Guaranteed. And MSNBC, 50-50 shot that he gets hired there, which he will fit in at very, very easily. That I do know. All right. Before we go, why not go with a little Rodney Dangerfield? Because we love playing Rodney on this show so much. Because, again, it is a reminder of what late night used to be. Instead of the preachy, condescending, biased, boring late night that we have now with Jimmy Kimmel. Anyway, here's Rodney with Johnny Carson. Cut number 10, go.
No, I'm a bad drinker, Johnny. I mean, when I drink, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The next day, I usually wake up in some strange place with a kid with an accent playing with my feet.
Ed in the background.
That happened to you, too, huh?
Yeah.
You give the kid a couple of pesos.
Nah, but drinking is bad, Johnny. It's bad for your health. You know, that's what's important, your health. You know, oh, yeah, I'm still heavy. I can't lose any weight. Forget it. I got a big appetite. Big appetite. Are you kidding?
Like to eat, huh?
Well, when I eat at McDonald's, I stand outside and watch the sign change. I mean,
Genius. Absolute genius. Anyway, we're going to end it on that happy note. This has been the Joe Concha Show. We're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on stations around the country and around the world. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. The Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. You can hear the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. Sunday mornings at 10. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?